The Daytona 500 is now only 12 days away as of this recording, and people are rightfully getting pumped for it. Now, a good deal of this is the fact that it marks the new season, but it also comes from the fact that the racing action at the tracks of Daytona and Talladega are just freaking amazing. Due to the restrictor plate and then later on tapered spacer over the past few seasons, the racing is tightly clumped together. Since the power of the cars is kept down, they must rely on the draft to stay fast. This leads to tons of lead changes, upset winners, and crashes. Lots and lots of crashes. But which years would be the best superspeedway years to watch? What are the best packages for these tracks ever? While I like watching older races from the 80s and 90s, there are only two eras of superspeedway racing that, for me, define the art itself. The late Gen 4 packages from 2000 to 2007, as well as the current package from 2019 to the current year. These define all of what NASCAR fans want in their pack racing. But which is supreme? Well, that's what we're going to be answering today. So from the question itself, we can assert that the racing itself is fairly even. Though I do think that there is one X factor, pun intended, that the old Gen 4 NASCAR holds over today's at superspeedways. Now, while this is badass, I do think it clouds objectivity with the judgment of this era. Well, I beg to bring back the sound of this package to modern Daytona and Talladega racing. In the end, it literally brings nothing to what we see on the track. And what we've seen is great racing and great finishes. And the finishes absolutely are jaw-dropping. For the Gen 4 era, we have their closest finish in the 2007 Pepsi 400.
Kyle Busch is the guy right here. He's your winner.
He's going to have the momentum, and he's going to get to the line.
Coming to the checkers.
Oh, wow. That was close. I don't know.
Waiting for scoring.
I think the 26 got him.
It says 26 on the monitor.
Coming to the line, Jamie McMurray edged out Kyle Busch by 5/1000ths of a second to win. At this time currently of recording, there are only two finishes closer than this in a Cup points-paying race: the 2003 Carolina Dodge Dealers 400 and the 2011 Aaron's 499. Now, looking at the Gen 6 era, we have Ryan Blaney winning by 7/1000ths of a second at Talladega not only once, but twice.
Here they come! They make contact! They're side by side! It's a photo finish at the line! Blaney and Newman were side by side when they crossed the line.
Stenhouse comes back to him on the bottom. Off turn 4, 3 wide.
Not over yet. Here comes Eric Jones.
Nemechek trying to push Jones. Eric Jones with help. Here comes Almirola. Crash into the wall. I think it's Stenhouse. It might be Blaney.
While the Gen 4 package has the edge with the 07 finish, I'm going to call this one a draw due to Blaney's two minuscule triumphs. When you look at both of these packages, they have great moments, but due to the Gen 4 having basically 4 times as many races than the current package, there's gonna be more moments for this one. But the ones that the old package has definitely trumps the new ones. Punctuated most by Dale Jr.'s win in the 2001 Pepsi 400. The raw emotion of that moment may never be matched again in NASCAR history. And that's a point that really hits home as a big reason as to why the old package gets so much more love than today's. Look at who dominated the races from 2000 to 2007 at these tracks. They were all popular drivers in the sport. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and even Michael Waltrip. All of these drivers were incredibly popular at the time. And let's be honest, who doesn't love watching their favorite driver just flat out KO the field? I know, as a junior fan, I loved it. Meanwhile, look at the dominating forces of the last 2 years. Sure, there's Ryan Blaney, who is a very young driver who's a fan favorite. But the mostly dominant driver of this time has been Denny Hamlin, the man who for years has actively been loathed by much of the fan base. It can be pretty easy to see why people appreciate the old and not the new. Plus, NASCAR fans are probably the most nostalgic fans in all of sports. This shouldn't be surprising to anybody. So how do we look at these in comparison to one another without too much or any bias? With some good old stats. Starting with cautions. Taking out stage cautions and rain cautions, this is the most even comparison. On average, races back in the day averaged 6.1 cautions a race, a respectable number. But what's kind of shocking is that there were 5.7 organic cautions on average in the superspeedway races from the last 2 years. So once again, this is very even in comparison. Where the discrepancy lies is in the crashes in races. From 2000 to 2007, there were 3.5 crashes per race in a restrictor plate race, while today there are 4.3 crashes per race. On average, there's about one added crash per race today compared to back in the day. And when you look even closer at the gap, it just widens. On average, 57% of organic cautions from 2000 to 2007 under this package were crashes, while 76% of them today are crashes. That's a difference of nearly 20%. So chances are, if you have a caution today, it's gonna be a wreck. This, for many, is the breaking point. But I think we have to look even more at it. I don't think all these races are as big a wreck fest as people say they are, but I can see that point. But this can be argued to be due to fields being more close together and competitive nowadays. In races today, there's an average of 40.3 lead changes among an average of 16.3 leaders. This, in comparison to the old package, is higher than the 32.7 lead changes per race among 14.2 leaders. This means that today's package would be up around 23% in lead changes and 15% in those who led. And this to me is caused by more parity for dominance. In the Gen 4 era, the driver leading the most laps led around 76 laps on average a race, while today's dominant drivers lead just shy of 50 laps per race. Overall statistics do favor the newer package, while the court of popular opinion is rigged to the nostalgia of the old packages. So which one really is it? To me, taking bias and nostalgia out of this, I gotta say that I slightly, and I mean 5 1,000ths of a second slightly, favor today's package. While wrecking is a problem, it really is, and people shouldn't overlook it, it's more due to less experienced drivers racing closer to one another. When looking at the old package, you have more experienced drivers spread out through the field and through the races. But when these drivers get it right today, the racing is flawless. They are at a bit of a disadvantage though, due to being clumped together by stage cautions as well. That adds 2 more cautions a race. Now I didn't add those into comparisons before, but adding those comparisons in, and you can kind of understand the field getting more clumped together. But that's just my take. Now, I want to hear your take. Which package is better in your opinion? The old Gen 4 package or the current Gen 6 package? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. And until next time, have a good one.